Talk later, still in the group.
Yes, people, we're back in the building for another Big Free show. Unfortunately, our brother Chino can't make it. You know, he's got his family duties to attend to. But then obviously, you know, it's me and CM gonna run through the topics for tonight. Big up my guy CM in the building. What you saying, my bro?
Come on, man. Excited to be back again. Big up everyone in the chat road and Chino, of course, who can't be here. But yeah, man, the show goes on. We gotta speak about some big NBA stuff that's been going on this week still.
I mean, it's been a bit of an interesting last little week, you know, since the NBA returned from All-Star Weekend. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about and a few big hitters on the list and the topics for tonight. But before we do anything, people, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. If you're new, hit the notification bell and all of that good stuff right there. CM's channel is in the title of the video, so make sure you click on that link. It will take you through to his channel. You don't even have to leave the video. You'll be able to subscribe to him and everything he's got going over there. And also he's got a second channel as well, which you'll be able to link you to for some other stuff in related to some other sports and whatnot as well on YouTube. So make sure you do that. Chino, he's not here. He's got to sort out some stuff for the weekend, obviously, you know, in terms of family and all of that. But make sure you also click on his name in the description as in the title of the video. You can link him to his channel. You can subscribe. He ain't got no content yet, but he'll get some content running soon and you'll be able to see a little bit more of Chino as well. But look, there's only one place to start, man. Man, like Dame Dollar, Dame Time, dropped 71. Woo! Like he's into the 70 club now, you know, in the NBA. And you know what it is for me, yeah, bro. It's like for all of this talent, like because Dame, let's be real, Dame is a generational talent. Like, let's not even like he's a generational talent, yeah. But it's looking like the Blazers won't even make the postseason, bro. So what's on that, bro?
You know what? It's. I feel like every time Damian Lillard has an explosion, the conversation always goes back to the team that's around him, innit? And whether it's like free Dame situations or just to let Damian Lillard leave, and it's at the same time you want him to be in a good situation, innit? Because you imagine how good he's been, and with all of the years of being important, I think the highest they've reached is a conference finals, and that's where they peaked and basically got taken out by the Golden State Warriors. But obviously, you want to see your favorite players in good situations. There's a lot of guys that like want CP3 to win a ring, and obviously he's in a really good situation now. Yeah. Some people saying Russell Westbrook, like some of the nicest guys in the league, but unfortunately, we find ourselves in a situation in the NBA where not every single player, every single great player can be in that situation. And I feel like with Damian Lillard, it's up to him, right? So he wants to be loyal to Portland. I think people have to support that. He's been saying, like the other week, I think he said like, don't let us win a championship. Don't let me win a championship in Portland. And that's where he stands. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So, of course, in the back of your mind, you'll be thinking of all of these matchups and teammates that he could possibly have. Yeah, I remember a few years ago, they were saying Golden State could go in for Damian Lillard, and people just get to thinking Steph Curry, Clay, all of these different scenarios. But I just feel like at this point of his career, there could be a change. Don't get me wrong. There could be a change in his mind where he's like, you know what, I'm getting up there. Or maybe even the Blazers organization could say, hey, we ain't reaching anywhere. Maybe we need to kind of scrap everything and rebuild under the likes of Anthony Simons and try and bring in a good piece, young piece there. But I just feel like everything goes to him and it's Dame. And if he wants to stay there, then we got to respect that, but also appreciate the performances that he's got left in his career. And I'm pretty sure there are many more to come.
Yeah, because like the interesting thing about it is that he also came out with a comment and he was like, you look at Russell Westbrook, right? 4 teams in 4 years after he leaves OKC, and it's like he said that the grass isn't always greener when you leave, innit? And it's like the problem I have is that for the Blazers fans, right? They've never seen well, a lot of the younger fans would not have seen a championship. Clyde Drexler won them a championship in the 80s, bro. But like, I don't think a lot of them really care. The people that go to the games on a regular basis, I don't think a lot of them even care about that. They're seeing a generational talent in Damian Lillard right in front of them, doing this season in, season out for the organization, and the organization isn't doing enough to help him potentially get that push. Yes, they had a conference finals, and that was the peak of their powers at the time, right? And it's like, for me, if I'm Dame, yeah, you got to consider your future. Like, you can't, like, I don't think you can stay there and try and like live out the last of your career. Because how old is Dame? Like 31, 32 years old.
See,
All right, let's see.
so he is 32,
He's
32 now.
32 years old. It's like, yeah, he's gonna have some more years, of course. Like, I feel like he could probably play up till 36, 37, maybe, right? But are you gonna bank on the organization putting the pieces around you to be able to go for that Western Conference? Because it's very wide open. We've seen that from just this season. We weren't, or maybe we had an expectation that Denver would be in and around it. They've got the arguably, he's gonna be the 3-time MVP in their side, leading their charge. But then you've got that young Grizzlies side, doing their thing. Golden State were a little bit wobbly at the start of the season, and they find themselves into the playoff picture themselves now. Like, the Lakers, where they are, they're literally just they're what, 3 games back off of Golden State, who are like, I think, 5th in the conference, right? And then Portland are literally just behind them. So even the Lakers feel like they can get into the playoffs. They feel like they can get into the top 6. So there's room there, and it's like we've been talking about this because, like, when Mark Cuban was talking about why he decided to bring in Kyrie, he was like, look, the West is kind of open right now. So we have to go big and try and see if we can win something. So why isn't the Blazers organization doing the same thing?
Yeah, do you think, yeah, like going back to the comment he made, the grass isn't always greener, do you think a large part, or at least a bit of his, loyalty and why he wants to stay is because the organization have treated him as an individual so well? Don't know much about behind the scenes, but it seems like he's treated well there. The fans love him, and he's wants to just keep his legacy intact in that city unless they make the move. So it's like, if you go somewhere else, you know how politics can be in the NBA. All of a sudden, something doesn't work out, and then you're a player being passed around. You're a buyout guy, and then there's a reputation about people who are getting brought out and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, it is a tough one, isn't it? Because we're like, when he went straight for the Russ, like, as the example, it's like Russ had some great years at OKC, only for him to move to Houston, and then it was like, okay, we got something cooking here because we got Chris Paul, we got Russell Westbrook, and we got James Harden. It's scary hours. That was the way it was being built, and then it just kind of like, it falls apart, and then he leaves and goes to the Wizards, and then it's like he has that one season there where we thought, okay, it was just a bit of a hiccup at Houston, and he's somehow got himself back to LA. He's with the Lakers, LeBron and AD, but that doesn't work out for the obvious reasons and some of the reasons that we don't know behind the scenes. And now he's at the Clippers. It's like there's you're right in the fact that maybe he doesn't want to kind of ruin his relationship with the fans, but I would feel like the fans would be at this point like, look, you've been so loyal, you've done so much with not really much behind you. We wouldn't blame you if you decided you wanted to explore a trade to go somewhere. But the problem is, for him, it's about, he's got to make the right choice. Like, it sounds good in theory for him to go and join the Warriors, for example, because obviously that's his home. He's from Oakland, so he'd go back home to the Bay Area, right? But then, how is Steve Kerr going to be able to fit him, Steph Curry, like because it's gonna be proper small ball if he was to go over there. You know what I'm saying? And like, and that would be their best 5 out there. Like, and then they've got a little bit of a transition going. They got young players. It's like, so what? You're gonna bring in 32-year-old Damian Lillard to try and push for a championship when they already won a championship last season, and and they're looking to try and build something else again. Like, where does he go? So I feel like maybe he's looking at the option saying, like, I can go to a lot of different places, but it could not end up the way I think it may. You know what I'm saying? On paper, it looks amazing. Like, we look at we spoke last week about Atlanta. Look at the way they gave up those picks, brought in DeJounte Murray. We said, oh, best back, this could be one of the best backcourts in the league. It's not really worked out. Like, Nate McMillan fired, having to get Quinn Snyder in now, and they still think they can get a playoff spot, but it's looking a bit tough because, like, there's some teams that's a lot better than them in the Eastern Conference. Like, they're gonna have to try and like sneak in there somehow. So yeah, man, it's a very sticky one. But I'm just like, it's a bit sad to see. That's a generational talent. You can't even deny that. Like, in the NBA, he's a generational talent, and the fact that he's not gonna even get close to a championship, I think, in this Portland Trailblazers team, is sad. It's sad. I can't lie.
I hear it, man. I hear it. I hear it still.
Let's get into some of these comments before we move on to the next topic, man. Like NN, big up NN. He says MVP against bumps. Nah, relax, bro. Look, the MVP race is gonna be tight this year. This one for sure. Like, Jokic, I feel like is there at the top, but Jason Tatum is playing some different type of basketball. I hate the narratives I'm seeing. They're saying, oh, he's not really that good. I'm like, bro, I've seen him. We've watched games of him on the road. Game like 4 of the series against the Bucks last season. We needed to win that game, and he pulls out, like, I don't even know if it was like a 40 piece on the road to make sure we go to a game 5. Like, so like, he knew what he was doing, man. Like, but Embiid's been doing his thing as well, man. Like, that game on Saturday night. That game was a bit crazy as well.
Hey, when we hit the full court shot and it didn't count.
It didn't count. Ooh. That's what I'm saying. Like, so Embiid doing his thing as well. Like, people are doing their thing right now. So we can't even, what I'm saying? KD's back. Like, he's looking like he never left. So you never know what could happen. But I feel like it's gonna be between those 3. I think Tatum, Embiid, and then and Jokic for the MVP. I think it's tightened up now because some players have gotten injured, players have moved, and all of that type of stuff. So we always have this convo every season about Lillard. When he does something big, in reality, his career is done. That's a bit harsh, bro. I can't lie to you. It's kind of harsh, but I hear what you're saying though. Like, because he does this, he explodes, and then it just kind of fizzles out. Like, because the rest of the team just aren't on the same wavelength. You know what I'm saying? The organization is not really on it, but you know what I'm saying. Big up Super Nick in the building. Big up yourself. Thank you for coming through. We appreciate your support each and every time. Talk about bums. You see, look, I can't even speak about Simmons, man. I really can't. Like, I don't know what to say about the guy, bro. Honestly, like, the conversation, I can't. Like, because I even saw George Niang on a podcast, and he was speaking about how, like, he wasn't as good as maybe what we thought he was, and like. Yeah, like, he was speaking very open and candidly. I'll send you the link, bro. Like, I'm telling you, like, he was on a podcast speaking very wildly about Ben Simmons. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I saw, from that cut to speak of it, I saw something with Chandler Parsons where he was like, yo, he's basically gonna be a minimum player until he works out how to play properly for the rest of his career. And I was like, yo, fam.
Nah, they're actually killing that guy.
People in the comments was like, no way Chandler Parsons out is speaking like this.
Nah. In the NBA, better to be safe than sorry. Big news don't always guarantee success. Too much money in politics. It's true. Like, it's the thing about it is that, like, I feel like even now some of the organizations are kind of hip to it, and they give these young guys a lot of money from early to secure their future, basically, because they're like, we could bank on this young talent and lock them in to the point where, like, they can't move. Because where are you gonna really go? Do you know what I mean? Like, where are you gonna really go? Because it will just stop. It kind of stops the whole, oh, I want to build a super team over here. Because it's like, if the team don't have money and then we're going over luxury tax, all of this type of stuff, yeah, you have to look at your moves carefully.
It's crazy how the NBA has developed over the last, I don't know, 20 plus you're going 30 years almost, because I remember back in the days hearing stories of how players were locked into like 6-7 year contracts, sometimes even more. And now it's come to this point where the players have the power, and it's almost like, the organizations are trying to drag that power back. Do you think there's gonna be a situation? Because I feel like Chino mentioned last week there's gonna be a lockout soon and stuff like that. Do you think there comes a situation where maybe when the negotiations start up and all of that stuff, there organizations, players, they're gonna be butting heads and trying to come in the middle to kind of almost calm down and stop this ultra player movement thing that we've got going here?
I think so, because like you know how like back in the day when Chris Paul was supposed to go to the Lakers and they got blocked, it got vetoed. Yeah, it's gonna be because like, bro, like KD shouldn't be at the Suns with D Book, with Ayton and Chris Paul. He shouldn't be. That should not be happening. Like I don't understand that we are in a league where that move can happen. Where on paper it looks like that, because today when I watched the game, I was like, yo, this could look mad in a few weeks' time when everybody's just like, they're used to just how they're gonna move on the court. He was on a minutes restriction last night. So like, he will come in for his little pieces at the start, then he'll sit, come back on. Imagine him playing the full 40 minutes with these guys. Come on, man. It's just gonna be disgusting, bro.
D-Book he had 37, I swear.
Bro, he hit 40. I think 37. He hit 37, I think, or 39 or something like that last night. And it's like, KD got 23, and that was on minutes restriction. So imagine him playing the 40 minutes, bro. He's hitting 40. I mean, I know it was against the Hornets and that, but like, still, like I can see a situation where like the league are gonna try and stop moves like this happening. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not even in the playing field, bro. Like, you don't really get teams that can, like, out of drafts and picks and stuff, build their squads and rosters to the point where they're really strong and can challenge for a title. Like, you don't really get a lot of them anymore. Like, so it's a bit interesting to see how the league will deal with that in the next few years. And then obviously Chino in here as well. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up man like Chino, as always. He's not here tonight, but he will be back next week. He's got some stuff to sort out today. But let's move on to it's a bit of developing news, because it's been changing every single day since when I took the notes last night. It's changed again. So LeBron James injured in the game against, I believe they played against Dallas on Sunday night. He got injured. He was injured, like, I think late third quarter or early fourth, and then he decided to play on to try and finish the game. Commendable, but maybe he should have decided maybe to just come out of the game from that point, and maybe it would have saved him a little bit. At this moment in time, we know that he doesn't require surgery, but it will be reevaluated. The new news is it will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. We thought it was going to be 2 weeks. He was going to be out, at least 2 weeks. So he has to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. Now, we all know 3 weeks is a long time in the NBA. And so there's going to be a number of different games. They won last night. First they lost against the Grizzlies, right? And AD got a big poster put on him and then by Jaren Jackson. and then last night he was listed out, which I think is a bit mad, that one, right? Right. So with LeBron being out for 3 weeks anyway at this point, do you think that this has kind of ruined their playoff push? Because you remember when, all the trades were done, trade deadline was done, and, they got their new players in. D'Lo, Vanderbilt is in there. Like, and obviously, they moved some stuff around, and their team is locked in now for the rest of the season. Yes. They were saying, we can make it into the top 6. We'll definitely be in the playoffs. With LeBron not being there now for the next 3 weeks, what does that look like to you, bro?
It's tough, because for me, like, the Lakers were looking like they were on the up. I think that comeback against Dallas was really big. It could have almost spurred them on for the rest of the season. AD's been playing really good even before the All-Star break. LeBron as well, as consistent as ever, and then he gets injured. And like you said, bro, things change really quickly with how the West is right now. It's crazy how Golden State looked like they were outside of the playoff picture, and a few weeks later, they're now in the 5th seed. It's crazy. I'm looking at the standings now. Like, for example, Phoenix, they're 34-29. and they're the 4th seed.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a crazy season. So to be evaluated in 3 weeks, and then that's not even guaranteeing that he's coming back in 3 weeks. It could be a month. It could be a little longer. So it's not looking good for LA right now. There's hope, but we've already seen games where AD has been out. Even D'Angelo Russell has been out.
Yeah, he's out as well. He was out.
Yeah,
he was out in the last game against the
Clippers. So it's a difficult one. And then if you have AD back, best case scenario on D'Lo, you're hoping those guys are staying healthy down that stretch. I'm really liking what they're getting out of Jared Vanderbilt defensively. It's really good from him, and he's using his versatility. And then the guys they've got, Austin Reeves gonna have to grow into a role now and have a kind of increased role, whether that's coming off the bench or wherever. Wenyan Gabriel, guys like that, Dennis Schroeder, another guy you're gonna have to rely on. He had a really good stretch when it was back in OKC when we had Paul George and Westbrook still, where he was really good. He's gonna have to wind the clock back to those kind of times as well. So it's very difficult. Malik Beasley, he's been given a license to shoot at times in games for LA. So they're going to have guys step up in LeBron's absence. And I'm looking at some of their fixtures. They got the Timberwolves, Golden State, Memphis. I mean, the Raptors, who are slowly improving since the All-Star break. The Knicks, the Pelicans. So a couple easy ones. Dallas again.
Off schedule.
I mean... Phoenix, like it's not an easy schedule to get to the playoffs. And where are they now? They're the 11th seed. So it's still a lot of spaces to get up on. They're gonna have to start a win streak, and without LeBron, the main initiator of the offense, it's a massive ask. And obviously, their roster's looking a lot better now that they've made the trade and we've seen their potential. But sometimes it's how they respond from that injury. Do they come together, or are they a little disheartened off of that? I think it's going to be big for Darvin Ham as well, because he has a lot of doubters within the Laker fan base itself. So if he can somehow get the troops to go again and almost inspire them to get to the playoffs, then that would be big for him. That would be big for some of those some of the players in the team as well. So big for AD. If he's able to stay fit.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like he was out in the last game, and I'm just like, this is the thing that I don't like. It's like you like to follow LeBron. LeBron's injured, let me get injured, bro. Like I hate it, because it's like there was points a couple seasons ago where I was like, look, like you've got to be the main. No, not a couple seasons. Last season I was like, you've got to be the main man. If LeBron at 36, 37 years old at the time, he shouldn't be playing 40 minutes a night. He shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right? He should be used sparingly. You can prolong his greatness throughout the course of a season. But look what's happened now. You're fighting so hard, to get back into a game, against Dallas, to the point where he gets injured now, and you lost him for 4 weeks. Like, and now you're supposed to be the guy that's gonna step up. You're the big game player. You're the guy that they banked a lot on. Got rid of all these players to traded them away to bring you in, so that you could be the second piece, the second big guy next to LeBron. He's out, and then you're out as well. Like, it doesn't help the team, does it? But
nah,
I don't know, man. It's an interesting one. I don't know, because I mean, looking at this right now, they're 3 games back from the Clippers to get into that 6th spot. Obviously, they need to go on a winning run. And the teams above them, some of them are improving. The Timberwolves were nowhere near anything, and then they climbed up into the top 6. They've dropped out again. The Suns were like in 7th or 8th position. They're 4th. The Kings haven't gone anywhere all season. They're stuck at 3rd position. They haven't gone anywhere all season. They're just fighting, with the good stuff that's going on over there. Like the Pelicans, they've lost their way a little bit, but they're going to keep battling as well to try and stay in the play-in. The Jazz will also try and do the same thing after such a fast start in the season. So, and then obviously, like, even behind them, as I said, Portland, OKC, like they was like kind of bubbling a little bit as well. Like it's such a wild division right now. I don't know if this 4 weeks or 3 weeks that LeBron's going to be out is going to be. Can they win all the games in that? I can't see it. Like, because based off of what we've seen this season, they're not going to be able to put together 5, 6, 7 wins in a row. I could be wrong, but we have to wait and see, honestly, because I don't know. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. Before we move on to the next topic, we got some more comments in here. Let's go through these ones. Let's call these ones in now. I said big up CM and Roland. JT dropping 13 points, been playing different. Relax like that. Yeah, he has them games, but some players have these games in it. Like, just relax, bro. Relax. Real men reside in the East. I don't know, man. I feel like the power switched. I can't lie. When Kyrie and KD went to the West, I feel like the power switched a little bit because that is a bit more of an open conference still. Talk on the menacing antics of Josh, NBA Josh. You know what is funny about the Josh situation? Because we've seen more stories come out now about how he punched a 12-year-old at a pickup game in off season, and then flashed the gun at him. Then there was another story about his mum was at a shoe store in a mall, and she got into an altercation with somebody that was working there, and then he called she called him, and he brought him and like 9 other people, and they threatened the security guard at the mall and all this. I don't know if this is true or if this is like part of the campaign to kind of, snowball into a negative kind of connotation surrounding Ja's name, innit? Because like only a few weeks ago launched the signature shoe, and he's, saying like things are getting there for him, like in terms of his status in the league, and then some of these stories are now being leaked and they're coming out and stuff like that, and we don't know if the sources are true. I don't know. So it's interesting. I don't know if he's, what I'm saying, because it's like at the same time he's also doing things from a PR perspective. Like I seen a video where there was a disabled fan, I think after a game or something like that, and he's with his daughter, and then he gave his shoes to his daughter to give to the fan and all that, and it's like, I don't know if they're doing damage control. I don't know if the stories are true. It's kind of an interesting situation. What do you think about it?
Well, it's not good to hear those stories, innit? First and foremost, I think somebody said on Twitter, and I saw it, I don't remember who it was, but they said, the first ones you try and kind of just look away from it. But when you're hearing stories that are around the same topic of things happening, then there's got to be some truth somewhere, there. But it's not good, man, because Ja Morant, one of the best young players in the league, one of the best young teams in the league, you don't want to jeopardize that opportunity of, the first and foremost, the money that you can have throughout your NBA career, winning, a championship, winning with your teammates. And right now, it just seems like, now, I'm going to say allegedly, if all of this stuff is true. Because you have to say allegedly. If it is true, then you're jeopardizing and you're using this kind of persona that your team has built, and you're taking it outside of everything else. You're taking it into your life. And what you need to do is kind of strip that down and just focus on being a bad boy on the basketball court. Not like, what I mean? Because you don't want a situation where your whole career is going downhill in the end of the day. He's too good for that. His team's too in a good position right now, and they're too good for that as well. So once again, it's a situation where the parents, they need to kind of have a conversation if this stuff is true, allegedly, and just say, listen, you need to calm down, because you're getting all these sponsorship deals, all of this stuff. We've seen what's happened with many other players during the course of their career, and how certain situations have messed up the deals and the money that they've been able to have, the moves they've been able to do. So I think Ja just needs to, if any of this stuff is true, he just needs to kind of have a conversation with himself, look at himself in the mirror, have a conversation with the people that mean the most to him, and say, listen, I need to calm down. I need to kind of stay out of the limelight for a bit and change, because it seems like the media are going to start turn. Like, if this stuff continues, the media are going to turn on him. The people, not just basketball, but we're seeing people that are not even associated with basketball first reporting on these stories too. So how does that look on the NBA?
Yeah,
there's so many things.
It's because that's what I'm saying. Like, I've literally seen these two stories. I literally seen them literally today. Like, I've seen 2 different stories about him, and I'm like, oh, this is not good, because when 2 different stories about situations have just been leaked out of nowhere, because we had the other one and we thought, all right, it's been resolved in some capacity, right? But these 2 stories now, I'm not too sure. Like, it's because it's like, I get it. It might not really be him. It could be his entourage that he rolls with that is like kind of getting him into these kind of situations. And of course, because he's Ja Morant, he's the superstar out of all of his friends. They may just put him at the top of that and say it was Ja Morant that did this. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's hard. It's the only thing is that when you get into these kind of positions, you know, if you know you've got friends that are a bit wild, not to say you don't have to be friends with them, they just can't come with you to these certain places. Like they shouldn't be coming to the arenas. You know what I'm saying? And if anything, if you want them to be around you, you give them a job. Like you take them out of their situation. You've got enough money at this point. Give them a job. Like let them legitimize their life or whatever, and they can do. I don't know. You've got merch or something. Let them run the merch of your stuff and be fulfilling that to customers and orders, or I don't know, man. Whatever there's security. Do you know what I mean? Like, give him a job, bro, because that's the only way it's gonna be. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to play tough guy like you're in the hood, bro. You came out of that situation playing ball and you're a millionaire. Like, you don't need to be doing that. So, yeah, you're right. He needs to one, take a look at himself because this ain't looking good, and then two, he has to reevaluate the situation with all of his entourage because there can't be just people. Me, if I'm a millionaire, bro, I'm not having people there just walking around with me, bro. Everybody's got to be doing something. Everyone's got to be making some sort of money, like, or bringing something to the brand or something, like, because otherwise, why are you here? Like,
man's just running around like what it sounds like. It's wild to me because if you're having your boys here, you're running up trying to antagonize and threaten people. Like, what is this? You're supposed to be training, fam. Go in here, y'all play video games or something like that.
You know what I'm saying? You know, bro, man got big, like, apparently he bought himself a big mansion and bought his dad one right next to him, bro. So it's like, bro, if it's me and my dad, bro, I'll be going over there, barbecue, like, we be watching sports, and then I go to the gym in the morning and, you know, shoot and that, bro. I ain't got time for this, bro. Like, I don't understand what he's got time to do all this, but, hey, it's crazy. But big up Mantius de Piedra. Sorry if I butchered that. He said KD, best player in the world, Book, best shooting guard in the NBA. DeAndre Ayton, third best center behind Jokic and Embiid. It looks like either you're a Suns fan.
I can see the jersey.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I think you're a Suns fan. So you're happy with this. I mean, look, KD looked good yesterday. And we're gonna talk about his debut in a little bit. But big up yourself for coming through. We do this big free show every week, so make sure you stay tuned. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, because we do cover a lot of basketball on this channel too. So make sure you do that right there. Thank you for coming through. We appreciate the support. And then say AD is not a superstar. Availability is the best ability. He don't have the minerals. Hey, look, this one, you come out with some wild takes, my bro. But some of this is true. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you're a coach, availability of your players, your squad members is the most important thing in any sport. If you're not fit and available, you can't be picked. And if you can't be picked, you can't perform. And you can't perform, we're going to have to start having conversations. And to be honest with you, the last 2 years of his career, he's been injured a lot. I'd love to see the kind of the breakdown of how many injuries he's actually had over the last 2 years and how many games he played against what he should have played if he was fit. And we have to see that kind of ratio because it's kind of mad. I can't lie to you. I can't lie. Can I call Zion a bust now? He's clearly not the next LeBron James. It's too early, in my opinion. It's too early. I can't. Like, it's too early right now. It's like we thought that he was trying to angle for a move, but he was really genuinely injured. And then like he's come back and he's gone injured again, and it's like it's just not. I don't know what's going on with him. But what's your thoughts on it, bro?
Yeah, I can't call him a bust yet, man. Because whenever he's been on the court, no, it's not been a lot, but whenever he's been on it, he's looked really good. And he's propelled that Pelicans team. I think they've just been hurt by inconsistency, by injury, just a lot of inconsistencies and other stuff around that. But I hear what you're saying, innit? Maybe you go into next season, especially if he has an off season to be healthy, because I'm not sure if they're gonna make the playoffs at this point and kind of reset. But if he continues to have these injuries, I don't like the word bust, but you're gonna have to put him in the category of maybe his body's not gonna hold up.
And then saying, did the Hawks lose the Murray trade? I mean, it's hard to say. So I saw Pop said that the Spurs are tanking. They've lost. It was something crazy, like 17 or something in a row. They lost like 17 in a row or something like that until they won recently because they're on a 1-game winning streak. They're 14th in the league, right? So they said that they're deliberately tanking. So it looks like they're going for the Wembanyama because I don't know how long Pop is gonna be coaching for, but imagine Wembanyama in the Spurs organization. Hey, it could be a madness. I can't lie, right? So obviously they've given the picks and all of that. They've gained the picks and given DeJounte Murray to the Hawks, right? The Hawks ain't looking good at all. So they're 8th seed right now in the East. 31, 31, right? They're 0.500. Like, yeah, you would say based off of when the season started, it was like, this could be serious with him and Trae Young on the court together, but it just hasn't materialized. But I don't know, man. Like, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I think even this year it just hasn't looked right. Trae Young, a lot of people are starting to question Trae Young and his legitimacy as a star. People saying potentially if you put him as that number one option, he ain't really gonna be that guy to propel you to higher levels on a consistent basis. Obviously, he has not as good a season as you would, say Trae Young could be, especially based off of the years where he's brought them to the playoffs, good performances and stuff like that. I just think the way the roster is, Quinn Snyder, if there was anybody to get something good out of the roster, it would be Quinn Snyder. But that's going to take time because they've had numerous other coaches. And for whatever reason, I don't know. I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were saying the year when they made the playoffs and they made a lot of noise, they kind of got cocky and were treating the regular season differently to what they should have been treating it. And I think that's where it's gone wrong. Maybe the mentality of some of those young guys, it isn't up to par to what you need to have a strong core, to be consistently good. And then teams were going after them in the end of the day. Once they made the playoffs, they made all that noise, that villainous series against the New York Knicks in the end of the day. Teams are going after them and they weren't answering their call. So for them, I think, once again, it's almost like a reality check because how many coaches in how many years, things are going well under Nate McMillan and now he's gone. So now you have Quinn Snyder. If this goes wrong, you can't look at the head coach anymore. Yeah. You have to look at those players. Yeah. Trae Young, John Collins, all of these other guys that have been here throughout this process, throughout all of these years of upward trajectory, and then it goes back down again. Yeah. So they're in a sticky situation, Atlanta, right now.
Yeah, because big up King saying that Ice Trae ain't looking like that star these days after he knocked out my Sixers to get to the Eastern Conference Final. He's been going downhill ever since, and that's kind of true, man. Like that was obviously it was a bit of an interesting season that season with how it all kind of shaped up, to be honest, because obviously we just come off the COVID year, we come out the bubble, truncated season, COVID's still going around, so there was a lot of protocols going on. Players are out because even if they didn't have like full-blown COVID, they were just, if they got tested positive, they had to sit out. And the Hawks came out of that, and the Bucks came out of that to face off in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they, obviously it was a pretty eventful Eastern Conference Finals journey for the Hawks, obviously knocking out the Knicks, and then eventually the Sixers, right, to get to the finals. So Trae Young was starring in during that run, but it hasn't really looked great since. And then they thought they've got him some help now with DeJounte Murray, and it just hasn't clicked. I feel like Trae Young was the reason, or partly the reason, why there's no longer any Nate McMillan. Because we saw the comments last week from John Collins saying that maybe Nate McMillan's style is more used to is more for reserved for more older players, and they've got a pretty young squad, which they kind of do, when you look at it. But it's just for some reason, it kind of saw Trae Young also sitting out parts of the season, out of the rotation because Nate McMillan probably wasn't having the disrespect maybe, and then John Collins trying to, get traded, and then he stays after the deadline. It hasn't looked good. So Quinn Snyder's got a job on his hands to try and piece everything together, because I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
The thing I'll say is, less of the excuses, innit? No
Yeah.
more excuses.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear this guy is ready for the older players and this isn't working out. Nah, it's time for the spotlight to be on the players now. No excuses.
For sure. But let's move on. KD makes his debut with the Suns, scores 23 points. He was on a minutes restriction last night. But the question I have to ask is that with the team that we've seen now, you've got KD, you got DeAndre Ayton, you got D Book, you got Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then they've got all these other pieces, still hanging about. You got the likes of Campaign, you got Ish Wainwright, you got who else do they have in their side?
Torrey Craig, Damian Lee, TJ Warren, fam.
TJ Warren as well. Like, should KD be leading this Suns team to a championship with the team that they've got?
I think this roster's talented enough to get to the championship. Honestly, there's a lot of questions that's going to be asked of them because a lot of people obviously were saying, well, the winners against the Hornets. We'll see how everything shapes together defensively, especially when they go up against a good team. It'll be interesting to see what their schedule's looking like from now until the end of the season. But based off of what we saw against the Hornets, it's going to be dangerous offensively. And if KD commits to being a consistent defender on the team like he was in Brooklyn this year as well, that's another thing. So you're getting a guy who can block shots, he can guard on the perimeter, guard in the interior, and then he can give you 30 plus a game. And that's dangerous. Devin Booker, one of the best up-and-coming young players, scorers in the league. Chris Paul, one of the best facilitators of all time, one of the best point guards of all time in NBA history. And then you've got a good supporting cast. Obviously, they're going to miss the likes of Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. But still, you have a very good supporting cast that are committed. They're willing to work hard. Joshua Okogie, good defensive guy from his days in the Timberwolves. Torrey Craig, just a lot of hard-working players that and a deep rotation as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team develops over time. It's scary for the Western Conference and for the league.
True, because I mean, look, yeah, you're right about what KD's going to offer the team in terms of from the defensive capacity. You got 2 blocks last night as well, and yeah, somebody extra that they're going to need in terms of on that side of the game because offensively they already had it. It was just on the defensive end, there was a lot of reliance on DeAndre Ayton and what he can do from that side. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I've seen some narratives already kind of pulled apart where people have said that if Chris Paul doesn't win a championship with all the stuff he's got around him, he needs to retire. Do you know what I mean? People were saying he needs to retire because now when you've got both guys on the wing on either side with D Book and KD, like and then you got DeAndre Ayton right there as well behind you, like you have to win a championship. Otherwise, there's no they've given you all the help you can get. So yeah, it does look scary, and yeah, it's gonna take a few more games and a bit more rhythm for KD to be able to work out with his teammates. But from what I saw last night, they looked very good as a unit together. They're currently 4th in the Western Conference, 34-29. You know what I'm saying? There's still so much room to grow. There's just over 20 games or just under 20 games left in the season for themselves. Wherever they find themselves in that Western Conference top 6 will be interesting to see. But yeah, let's see how that works out for them. Let me get into this comment here. And then saying, I've never heard nobody say they want to go to Phoenix. KD ain't leading nothing. He couldn't do it for OKC. He couldn't do it for the Nets. I mean, it was a very strange move, but I understand it because you're trying to put yourself in the best position to win. And he's saying that if I go to the Suns with what they already have, we're gonna win something if I go there. And then he obviously, when they were speaking to him about it, he was like, yeah, of course I feel pressure because there's a big expectation on my shoulders to win with these guys. And yeah, it's true. They got close but couldn't beat the Bucks in that final series. And with KD, you're bringing somebody with two NBA championships, and he comes straight into that side. There is huge pressure on his shoulders to win something for that franchise because they've not won anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the season.
Sure.
Moving on, the Bucks have won 16 games in a row. I don't know what to say about this, bruv. They need to stop the count, stop the season, something, bruv, because bruv, I don't know how long this can go on for. But my question here is, are they the only serious contender to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference? Or are there more contenders here? Because the Sixers are going well this season. Like I know King was trashing them a little bit before, and some of the moves they made. But look, like they usually are around or there and thereabouts when it comes to the postseason. So, and then obviously the Knicks are playing really well. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but like, they're being led by Jalen Brunson. Things are clicking. Maybe they're taking advantage of some of the kind of things that have happened, in terms of the Nets falling apart and their squad falling apart, the Hawks falling apart, the Heat not playing as well as they have been over the last few years. But what do you think? Are they the only serious contenders to this Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Milwaukee and Boston, those are the two teams that you can see up there and say, those are legitimate guys. Philadelphia would be the other one, but like what King and many other people have said, so for whatever reason, when it comes to the postseason, you may have your good moments, but at the same time, things tend to break down. So we'll have to see what the likes of James Harden, Joel Embiid are going to be able to do and how their bodies hold up when it gets to the postseason. And then there's the exciting teams in the Eastern Conference, like your Cleveland Cavaliers, who may not have the experience, but they have the youth and the fearlessness to go and take on those teams and potentially cause a shock. You never know. The New York Knicks are going well. I don't think people trust the New York Knicks when it comes to the postseason based off of the sample size we've seen. The Brooklyn Nets, even though they're in there, will they be able to stay in that picture with the team they have? Kind of going from side to side at this moment of time, but we'll see. And then the Miami Heat, who, they're on the older side of things, maybe coming to the end of that Jimmy Butler experiment when it comes to everything that they've been through, getting to the finals at some point in the bubble and just haven't really been able to build up and stay fit. So it's going to be interesting to see what Miami can do if they can get there comfortably. But really, you see Boston and the Bucks as the legitimate teams, maybe the 76ers, and then there's the others behind them that are kind of there, but they're not there at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, so the Knicks are an interesting one because I wonder, like, how far this can go. Because obviously Josh Hart's come in there and they haven't lost a game, since his trade. 1-7 in a row now. Like, so they're there floating around. The Cavs, I already said from last season, before they even added Donovan Mitchell, that there was gonna be they're gonna be one to watch because their young side were very talented. Then obviously Markkanen leaves, and then they bring in Donovan Mitchell, and it's gone up a little bit of another level. They're gonna be in the playoffs picture for sure. But then it's what's gonna happen because they're gonna need some real big performances in those games, in those matchups, and depending on where they end up in their seeding, it's gonna be very interesting to see how they affect the whole playoff picture. But it's up for grabs. I think that 5th and 6th place are up for grabs. The Hawks, the Heat, and the Raptors may be looking to go on a little run themselves as well to potentially try and affect that picture as well. So I think first 4 positions are probably locked in pretty much, but we don't know where they're going to be placed anyway. Between the Bucks, the Celtics, the Sixers, and the Cavs. After that, it's really anybody's game for those those next 2 places. But we have to wait and see on that. In terms of what they're doing, the Bucks, like they're big 4. So that's Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, and Lopez have only started together 4 times this season. Only 4 times. So they've only started 4 times, and they're cooking like this. It's a problem for the league. But my question will be also is, are they peaking a bit too early? Is it looking like, because at this point, with about 20 games or so to go, surely you should be coasting now, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about load management, like players shouldn't be playing as much or playing as hard as they need to save their bodies before they get into the playoffs because they don't want to be too banged up. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that they're going too hard, or is this right? Is this rhythm, this winning momentum and mentality good for going into the playoffs?
I think it's good because going into the playoffs, like you said, bro, you have to have a certain rhythm because if you all of a sudden, no doubt when they secure their position, home court, they get their home court advantage, a good position in the standings. Then they're gonna start kind of giving guys rest and maybe putting down the minutes of certain guys like they have been. But even then, the Bucks they manage well with their stars and the times that they do play. But yeah, it's good to have a set rhythm going into the playoffs so that you can start the right way. I feel like it's a funny thing because LeBron James all the time in the playoffs there's a thing where the first game is always a feel out process, and a lot of the time you kind of sacrifice that one and then go for the rest of the team. But other teams are different. I feel like for the Bucks, they're gonna want to get through these games as quick as possible, especially with what we've seen in the NBA in the last few years. Like fitness is not guaranteed, so they're gonna want to have an easy as possible playoffs to the point where they can use their momentum coming in from the regular season and say we can get through a lot of these first round, second round, and then exert all of our energy on the rest of the playoff period. So I think it's a good thing. I do hear what you're saying in terms of peaking and then you kind of have a little dive at the wrong time. It's going to be interesting to see if that happens. But for now, I think the Bucks are cool.
Okay, I hear that. Big up man like Drizzy in here. I says I'm here. He says Celtics contenders, boy, please. The Bucks will whoop their ass. Are they smart to guard Giannis? Says Ronan say he can guard 1 to 5. He can though. I seen it though. This is what I'm saying. The reason why I said this is because Bam Adebayo said he should have won Defensive Player of the Year over Marcus Smart last season. Then he made a comment saying that how Marcus Smart can only guard 1 to 4. He can't guard the 5. I'm like, but hold on, I swear I've seen him do that. And then the thing about it is, when you were saying guard him, yeah, like there's different ways to defend against a big, innit? Like the most obvious way, if it's a mismatch, and it obviously would be, right, is you got to get your body in there, take the charges. I seen him do that on countless occasions last season. So I don't understand why he can't guard 1 to 5. Like, I don't understand it. It's funny though, because then I've seen videos. I've seen a video. It's a montage, bro, of like blocks from the bigs, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what do you mean he can't go 1 to 5? I feel like he deserved it last season, but hey, it's my opinion, innit? Like, don't shoot me, innit? But big up man like Drizzy still. I mean, I don't know, innit? We'll see. Like, I still back my team to do what they need to do, man. I still back my team because that thing hurt them last season. JT and JB just need to be locked in as much as possible, especially JT. When we get into this playoff picture, last season he was hit and miss. I won't lie. JB was consistent right through from the beginning of the playoffs right through to the end. He was locked in. He was the best performer on the team. JT, to be able to have that status as the MVP potentially, he needs to have more consistent shooting games for sure. He can't really have nights off. The nights off should be happening when, I don't know, you're 1 game away from winning the series now, and then your teammates can come in and help your little slump and that. But you can't have good game here, then you're off this game, good game hit. Nah, it don't work like that, boy, because like then the momentum could be gone, and then we could be out of it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll have to see. Whereas for the Bucks, as I said, their big four ain't played a lot this season, bro. If they're all together, bro, it's a bit mad. Brook Lopez has looked a different level this season.
People saying DPOY contention.
Trust me, bro. Like he's been looking at different levels. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting still. Big up Manj as well in here, man. I forgot this one. Big up Manj every single time. Thank you for coming through. Man said, I guess Chino is out chasing scores. Relax. Chino's out sorting some stuff out for the family, innit? So he's not going to be here this week, but he'll be back next week, you know what I'm saying? But make sure you also hit the link in the title as well. We'll take you through to his channel. You can subscribe to Chino's channel and to CM's channel as well. Big up Giannis attempt a free throw. Smart is a good help defender as at the 5. I hear your agenda in it, but it's cool, innit? I know you're not happy in it because the Lakers ain't doing too good right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking my loan at the Bucks this season. My Lakers are letting me down. Look, why are you loaning yourself? How are you loaning yourself from Western Conference to Eastern Conference, bro? What's going on here, man? What's going on? Let's move on. Dallas are 1-4 since Kyrie's move. to the Mavs, and they've dropped out of the top 6 in the conference. They've dropped out their 7th seed right now. Is it a problem, my bro? Because we mentioned this before we jumped on stream. I've watched a few of their games. There's a situation on the court. One of them picks up the ball, either Kyrie or Luka. ISO. Player sets the pick. They come off the roll. Then obviously there'll be a switch. So then it's another ISO. The player that was on the pick is standing there watching them go to work when they should be calling for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then, allowing the play to develop a little bit further as they approach the paint. Now, when you see that kind of situation, is it a situation of, we have to continue to let them work this out together? Or should the other players in their side be doing a lot more to help those two guys out, because it shouldn't be just on their shoulders?
I think it's on the 2 stars, of course. It's on the team. It's also on the coaching staff as well, because I feel like, if anything, what we learned about the Brooklyn Nets with Steve Nash and Kyrie, KD, James Harden is that you don't let players fully have the license to do what they need to do on the court, because they need the coaching in order to integrate some of those other players around them and play to the best of everybody's abilities, not just the 2 stars. And I think thus far there's been a few chemistry issues. I don't think it's massively something to worry about right now, but if it continues, it definitely is. Because I've heard some concerning comments coming from Jason Kidd. Kyrie's kind of said, especially after their last loss, I think it was against Indiana, where he was like, maybe I need to have less pressure on myself. I appreciate them giving me the license to take these shots at these times in the game, but maybe it's just one of them ones where you kind of need to force it a little less and let everything come to you, because definitely you're coming onto a team where with Luka, everything's around him. Those teammates, they rely on Luka to create almost everything, unless it's Spencer Dinwiddie who was there kind of creating for himself when Luka's off the court. So I think there's going to be a learning curve when it comes to those two getting used to each other. I do also think that something needs to change in regards to the coaching and integrating those other guys and making the offense a little more fluid. Now, I've heard people say, well, Jason Kidd is a defensive-minded coach. So is there going to be a problem there? Obviously, there's coaching staff there to kind of help with that deficiency, if there is a deficiency regarding his knowledge and how to kind of put together a fluid offense. But questions are going to be asked if they continue to lose games at the rate they have been thus far. Because like you said at the start, the Western Conference is so close together that if you lose a few games, you're going right downhill. So they need to work it out quickly, especially, and that was the big risk, making this trade at this time of the season. Mark Cuban, he wants to go all in with Luka and see if they can get a championship. But at the same time, if it doesn't work out, then you're at risk of potentially not making the playoffs or having to go through the play-in and playing a few more games and getting your body in a bit more wear and tear, where we've seen guys like Kyrie kind of be out for a little bit with some injuries here and there. So we'll see, but I'm still not, it's one of them ones there where I'm not out on the team, but they're going to have to prove a lot, and they're going to have to gel very quickly in order to show that they're of the caliber of reaching championship level, finals level, Western Conference finals level, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Drizzy's comment here is pretty interesting. He says, Kyrie Irving is coming to the Lakers. Mavs needs defense. Their offense is fine. Kyrie and Luka just need to decide who is Batman and Robin. And then this is an interesting thing that was brought up, I believe. I don't know who spoke on this. I don't know if it was Shaq, if it was Charles Barkley. One of these guys said it. Maybe, I don't know who it was. Anyway, but they said that, yeah, Kyrie's going to have to come into this team and basically be the number 2 guy, because the number 1 guy in the organization is Luka. It's been Luka. And it's going to be whether Kyrie's willing to, rein in some of his, because he feels like he's on the level of a LeBron James and a KD. And that's fine to feel like that. But then when you go into an organization and that's not necessarily the case, because they rate the other person higher than you, you're gonna have to fall in line and try and work with that and try and work for the team. But then, as I said, I don't think it's that. I don't think they have a situation with each other. I feel like the other players around them, the other three that's on the court, they're not doing their job. They're standing there and admiring two superstars going to work instead of calling for the ball and trying to help progress the play forward so that they can get some buckets. Like,
do you think perhaps they weren't used to that at the time?
But that's the thing. It's like, this is what training is for, right? Like, we go in and we're working on plays. Like, I'm sure they're not standing around and letting these guys ISO in on the court, the training court. Yeah. So when it happens in games, it's a bit surprising to see. But I feel like they will figure it out. Like, we have to give them a little bit of time. It's just the stat is a little bit alarming to be 1-4 since the trade. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see there. I mean, NN saying I could have told you they weren't going to work out. There's only one ball. Man saying that red flag is the new pause. Two man can't share one ball. And man said this pause. It's a pause, fam. That's a pause.
Red flag. Red flag.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we have to wait and see because as you said, 2 wins, you're in. You're back in the top 6. 2 losses, you could be 8th, 9th. You know what I'm saying? So we have to wait and see how it all works out. But Drizzy's comment about Kyrie Irving potentially going to the Lakers, there's always that kind of thing really large, despite the fact that he promised that he will sign an extension to Mark Cuban. If things don't work out the way it works out, and the only way it's going to work out is a championship. Anything less than that, he will say, "Hey, I tried it. It didn't really work. It's not for me. I'm gonna go over there." And then a
little handshake with LBJ, family reunited.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know. It could happen that way. I mean, it's interesting. It's very interesting because Kyrie will do what he wants. He doesn't care. Essentially, he may have given his word or promised whatever, but if it doesn't work out for him specifically, he won't stay around. He won't stick around. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops as well for the Mavs going into the end of the season. Can't have 2 PG sharing the ball. It's never worked in NBA history. That's an interesting comment there. I'm trying to think. Has it ever worked? I'm trying to think. Has it ever worked in history of the NBA?
When it comes to these two, somebody's got, like you said, bro, somebody's got. Why you think about it? Somebody's got to say, all right, cool, and that guy's gonna be Kyrie to be the number 2. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of getting away from the fact that he has been a number 2 option before. And he knows how to play as a number 2 option. Now, there were moments where Kyrie would have the opportunity to take over and let it be his offense as well. But I just think they need to find that balance with him and Luka. And like you said, bro, it's the team playing with them. There needs to be a little more cohesion. I think that comes with time. It's a big shock to the system when most of those guys on the roster have been playing in one style with one guy basically controlling everything. And now you have 2-star guys who need to first and foremost come together and then help out the rest of the guys on the court. So, yeah, I agree with what some of the comments are saying. I agree with what Rodan's saying as well. It's just they need to kind of quicken it up a bit now.
Yeah, because it's funny when I'm watching. I'm just seeing, man, the pick and roll is done. Like the defender switch, and then man is going to work. ISO, and then man are just standing there. I'm like, bro, give me the ball, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't be ISO in the thing, man. It's mad. And then Chino's busy watching Love Island. Big up, man, as well, man. Big up yourself, man. Have a good evening to yourself as well, man.
Yes, sir.
And a good Friday tomorrow as well, and all of that. Right, let's move on. The Clippers are on a 3-game losing streak since Russell Westbrook's move. He had a great debut, in a great game as well. Like, you see, that was one of the things. It was a mad game. Second highest scoring game in NBA history against the Kings. 175 to 176 or something like that.
What? Nah, I was looking at that today, yeah. And I was deep in it. 175, 176. And I know it went to double overtime, but still.
It's high.
That was a mad game, fam. Like the beam. Like the beam. Like the
Woo!
beam.
It's one of those ones. That's an
Yo.
all-star. That's an all-star scores where they hit the
Um,
target. Like that's what that was, man. But right, so they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. They're 6th in the conference. You know, Russell Westbrook goes over there. There's already the narratives have begun. It's Russ's fault. You know, he's still doing certain things. I'm seeing the videos and the clips coming out and stuff where, you know, they're not expecting him to do anything over there. Like there's a guy that
Yeah.
literally bought like courtside seats just to laugh at him and stuff. Like I seen a video like that, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on here, but it's crazy. What do you think that what do you think is going on? Is that a cause for concern? 3 games that they've lost now in a row, with the kind of their big 3 kind of coming together now.
I think it always is a cause for concern when you are losing games, when you and definitely when you feel like you should be winning. A lot of the people's highlights Russell Westbrook's defense, his defense, kind of focus on that side of things. I think offensively, you will have the high turnover games with Russell Westbrook. And one interesting thing is that when he went in originally, Tyronn Lue was kind of like, hey, he's going to be the starting point guard. So, you know, there are going to be situations where we expect him to be the guy kind of setting up people and doing stuff like that. I don't think he's been extremely bad. It's been a decent start, I would say, for Russell Westbrook offensively. There have been the turnovers, but he's been able to score, get assists here and there. But yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one with the Clippers, and there's definitely a team where I need to catch some of their games and look at them a little more in depth. There definitely is something there, whether it is to do with the defense that they're playing, or just a bit of the chemistry once again. But there have been some crazy games that they've been involved in. I mean, losing to the Timberwolves, not the greatest loss for them. And then you have a look at them losing to Denver, which is one of the best teams in the West. So you kind of account for that. And then the Sacramento Kings have been really good this season, even though people still look at them a certain way. So, like I said, it's one of them ones there where a lot of the teams in the West this season, they've had their ups, they've had their downs, and now the Clippers have made that trade. So it's always going to be tough to get things rolling. I even feel like maybe even Phoenix, they will have their ups and downs in this period because there have been significant changes to their roster. So I don't think it's a massive cause for concern. Obviously, internally, they will look at it and say, how can we get back to winning ways ASAP? And that'll be the situation for them. But once again, it's kind of like the other teams we've spoken about, like Dallas, for example. If it continues, it's a massive issue because you're going to start going down in the standings. But for now, it's about thinking about, okay, we've gone against some good teams. We've had some outliers of games. So it's about just playing the way we've been used to playing that have got us to this point of winning and being in a good position for the playoffs and finding a way of how we can do that now with Russell Westbrook and the other changes we've had on this roster.
Yeah, because I mean, it's going to be interesting for them. You know, they lost a little bit of their depth with Luke Kennard leaving.
Yeah.
But then what's his name? Mason Plumlee came in alongside Russ, and you know the squad of Reggie Jackson obviously leaving. There was a few changes here and there, but they still have a good core of their group together. One thing that I saw that was interesting was Paul George saying that he made a very interesting comment where he realized at some point that he can't be the best player in a championship winning side, which shows humility on one side, where he understands he's someone that seems to kind of look at it from a top down view and kind of say, I don't necessarily need to be the best player in the squad. I just need to contribute my part in order for us to come together as a group to win something. Now, when he's showing that humility, that's interesting to kind of hear. So how does he like look at this Clippers team? Who's the main guy? Because obviously if it's Kawhi, we've not really been able to see the best of Kawhi at the Clippers, really. Like, and I'm wondering how that's gonna fare for the rest of the season. Because if they make the playoffs now, Kawhi is rested for a lot of the season. Let's be honest, he's been rested. So how is that gonna translate into the playoffs now with everybody fully fit, raring to go?
I think Kawhi's been warming into the season because he's had a good little stretch when he has been able to stay on the court. So definitely when they enter the playoffs, Kawhi's gonna be the guy. I've seen people online on like Twitter and stuff like that saying, I understand what Paul George is saying, but at the same time, I don't like to hear that from a max guy. He's a max player on the Clippers. So it's supposed to be 1A, 1B. It's not supposed to be one and two, A and B. So I understand what Paul George is saying. And I look at his years in Indiana where it potentially didn't work out. Even when he came to OKC, Russell Westbrook was like, this is your team now. Your thing, you're the number one guy. So lead us to this point. And then it didn't work out again. So maybe he has gone through those situations and said, listen, when I've been that guy, we've got somewhere, but I haven't been able to propel them to a certain extent. And I'm looking at the guy on my team in Kawhi Leonard. You've been able to propel his teams, whether it's been the Toronto Raptors, for example. Obviously, in the Spurs, he wasn't the number one guy at the time when they won the championship, and he was the finals MVP. But they had the older guys around him that could have helped him. But really, in that Raptors team, he was the guy to propel them to that next level, even though people will speak about injuries and stuff like that. So it's an interesting comment to make from PG, because a lot of the time you see players have confidence in themselves and say, hey, I'm one of the best players in the league. I deserve that. Whereas he's kind of taking a step back and saying, hey, I understand how good I am as a player, but at the same time, the reason why I'm here on this team is because I understand that maybe my value can only take a team so far. Yeah. And I respect that at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because obviously the comments have come out at the same time he's launched a new podcast, which is pretty interesting. So I wonder if he will explain a little bit more about those comments when the actual episode, that first episode, drops on his podcast.
Okay.
Because making those kind of comments right now, like I would say because I feel like he has probably been better than Kawhi at the Clippers, if we're being totally honest, across the time, because they both came there at the same time. He's played more games, one, for sure. I feel like he's been better, but maybe, those experiences he's had previously have kind of shaped his thinking a little bit, and maybe he's making this choice. But, at this point, and maybe we'll take a step back and try and let Kawhi lead this team to potential glory in the postseason. But we have to wait and see on that. All right, final topic for this evening. Jokic's 100th career triple-double. Some comments from Kendrick Perkins saying that he's stat padding. Is he really stat padding, or is this because, like me, I find it so mind-boggling that we're seeing a center doing this kind of work. Like, he's really running the point for that team. It's actually crazy. So what do you think? Is it stat padding, are these comments a bit, blown out proportion, or is this just talent, like just serious?
Kendrick Perkins is on pure foolishness, man. It's hating. It's the foolish. I'm sorry. It's absolute rubbish. Because when you actually we actually watch Jokic, and I don't watch Denver a lot, and I want to watch them a lot more than I do right now. But when you watch Jokic, he plays the game as it comes to him. That's the kind of player he is. Some nights he'll have like 14 points. If it means that the other guys who maybe are having a good night and you want to keep that going, if it means to keep them in that rhythm, in that zone, he will do that. And he will rebound. He will play the best possible defense he can for the team. That's what Jokic does as a player. He does, like, when it comes to the stat pad thing, I'm sorry, but it's foolishness. I'm sorry, Kendrick Perkins. I want to say a lot of things right now, fam. And Kevin Durant has basically said it before. But why, fam? Why are you talking right now, Kendrick Perkins? Because, like, even Michael Malone said it, yeah. Like, Jokic is a guy who lets the game come to him. Obviously, he has the generational skills, the playmaking, the scoring, the touch, everything that makes him and possibly a 3-time MVP when it's all said and done. But if you're going to start putting this stat padding label on him, then my recommendation is go and watch the games, innit? And see how well they're doing this season. Go and understand how that offense runs and how he allows players in different scenarios to thrive. those kind of players for me aren't stat padders. Those players are ones that allow others to excel. They're unselfish players. So it's one or the other. I just feel like, especially with the triple-double getting like famous and of the last few years, you had Russell Westbrook do it and everybody was saying, oh my God, it's one of the greatest things. He's the first guy to do it since Oscar Robertson. And then the other seasons, he's clearly stat padding, man. And fair enough, maybe, but you see it and then we see the clips come up with Steven Adams getting out the way and letting him get a rebound. Like, fam, it's one or the other, innit? I'm sure in a couple years' time we're gonna see the clips of somebody bumping Jokic out the way. What are you gonna say? It's the center. He's supposed to rebound the ball.
Rebound that, yeah. That's the thing. That's funny as well.
Like, come on, man. Come on, man. I can't take this, man. I can't take it no more.
But see, like, the thing about it is, it's a remarkable achievement for somebody like at center to be able to do that. Yeah, like, and as you said, he lets the game come to him. But the thing about it is that he literally does play like a point guard. Yeah? The reason why I say it, because with me, I like point guards that slow the game down, innit?
Mm-hmm.
You're not on the rah like heavy metal type of thing, like Jars on that type of thing, yeah. Whereas like Chris Paul, Chris Paul, he likes to slow the game down. Like literally, he plays the game at his own pace, and that's what Jokic does. So I kind of prefer that. Like, and I feel like also it adds a little bit. Obviously, it's added a lot more to his game, because he can do everything else he can on the court. But for someone to come out and say he's stat padding, like, bro, how is he stat padding, bro? He's getting into those positions on the court and setting up his teammates. He's obviously scoring the ball. And he's going to have to pick up the rebounds because he's the center on the team. So what do you want him to do? Like, and his teammates allow him to do it because he's just that good, isn't it? Like, the problem is that people are going to throw the whole thing. And look, we already have a couple of comments. Man's the stat pad MVP, never made it past second round. This season, I think it'll be different. I think it'll be different because if they end up number one seed, right? Depending on what happens, obviously, depending on what happens and where everybody finishes, I reckon they could take the Warriors in a 7-game series this season because they're not the same Warriors, bro. Like, I don't think they can. Like, or the Clippers or the Mavs or the whoever comes in that sixth position if they stay at number one. Do you know what I mean? It should be very interesting. I feel like they'll make it past the second round, like potentially. Like we'll see how it all goes, man. Obviously, it's different when it gets to playoff time anyway. We don't know. But for people to trash Jokic's like achievement, this is a big career achievement, and to say it's stat padding, that's a bit wild. That's a bit wild, especially when Kendrick Perkins has admitted to fluffing up his field goal percentage. You know what I'm saying? In the past, bro, like let's not do this, bro, because where he would intentionally not take shots so that his field goal percentage would stay high. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, let's not do that, bro. Like. You know what I mean? Like, because and then they'll be talking about stat padding. It's a bit mad, like, because we all know that he's not happy with the fact that this guy is doing the things that he's doing. You know what I'm saying?
I don't understand, fam. He's out he's in the media enjoying himself, fam.
You know what I'm saying?
Why do we have to be like this, fam? Why do we have to be haters out here, fam? man's taking some lessons of Shaq or something like that, fam.
Trust me.
I saw the other day Shaq was reacting to Dwight Howard's 3-point contest on Inside the NBA, fam. My man was sipping tea like this, fam.
Nah. See, when you're doing that, you're pulling out clips from Taiwan, bro. Come and show an NBA tonight and that, bro. Nah, Inside the NBA, like, fam. That's mad.
They inciting violence, fam. That time he wasn't that bad. He was like, "Hey, listen, fam. If I could go out there and try and do a 3-point contest, then I could talk, fam." I was like, "Alright, cool. You're calm now, fam. You're calm."
Oh my days! Look, hey, it's been another good show. We are gonna wrap it up right here. Oh man, it's been a good show. Big up to everybody that's been in the comments from the beginning, man. We appreciate the support each and every single time. We're gonna be back next week. Not sure about same time. We'll figure it out with the guys next week to see where they're gonna be at when we can do this and all of that. But it should be back on Thursday as usual. Big up to Chino, man. He couldn't be here for the show. He missed this one, but he'll be back next week for sure. So we'll say big up to Chino, big up to a man like CM. Before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you, my bro.
Yes, people. You can find me at CM22ENT on YouTube, Twitch, a load of social medias now because I'm literally back on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of that stuff there. But I have a link tree with all of my links in one place, so you can find me on all socials, all of that stuff there. Second channel, CM22 for wrestling, basketball, and all of that good stuff. Go subscribe to Pros Only Sports, people. Everybody that's new, like the video, share to your peoples, them. Click the notification bell. You know what to do. Chino as well. Support people, and you know what to do.
Come on, big up Manchester Mania, but I ain't seen you in a minute.
Man.
It's been a minute, but I know. You know what's so funny? Because United are winning now, everybody's just quiet, bruv. You're just watching the games. You don't have to complain no more. There's nothing to say, bruv. We're just winning games. So I hear it still. I hear it, but I hope you're well, my bro. Hope all the studies and all of that is going well as well, man. Just, just keep working. You get me? I said, look, man, I said oppression only supposed to relax yourself. I didn't do nothing. It's not North Korea. No. This ain't North Korea or anything like that. I mean, if you move a bit mad, I have to time you out. It's okay, innit? Like, but apart from that, it's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, oppression only sports.
But we'll be back next week. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button as well. If you're new, hit the notification bell. We are out, people. Peace.